It's an absolute pleasure to be here today with Clarke Willis, the CEO of Anglia Farmers. The reason why we're here is that Clarke and I have been investigating setting up a JV to form a professional purchasing group for the fresh produce sectors. And the reason this came about was that about 2 years ago, Redfox had a stand at a major agricultural show. We saw AF there and got very intrigued as to the services that they offered the farming community across the whole of the UK, and we're a bit astounded to realise that there was no professional purchasing group within the fresh produce sectors. So Clarke and I engaged in conversation and realised that actually this is the direction that AF were looking to go to in the future, because it was a natural extension of where their business is today. And for us, for Redfox, with the network that we've got within the fresh sectors, again, it seemed to be a natural extension for us to offer this to our members. So we're now in the position where we're positively launching this to the advantage of all. And I just wanted you to get a better understanding of AF from Clarke, and for Clarke to tell you how this is going to be a benefit to everyone. So Clarke, probably the best thing to do is, could you just give us a bit of a background to AF, how it was formed, where it is today, and where you're looking to be in the future, please?
Certainly, Max. The heritage of AF goes back 50 years when pioneers set up two agricultural buying groups in Norfolk. 10 years ago, the boards of those two groups decided to merge. That formed Anglia Farmers, AF. And in the last 10 years, we've really not looked back. From 35 million turnover, this year will be 250 million turnover. And the objectives and the way that we work is the same now as it was 50 years ago.
Okay.
Open system of purchasing on behalf of our members. So all members are shareholders. We are a not-for-profit Industrial and Providence Society, and we work on behalf of our members. So we're very open from an accounting point of view. The price we buy it is the price we sell at, and we take a levy, which is our operating fund. So we've grown, matured, developed, and the last 10 years have seen quite a growth in that.
Okay, thank you. And to me, it looks to be a natural extension that you've got this dominance in the agricultural sector, and then the fresh produce sectors are obviously very closely related. But as I said earlier, I'm just so surprised that there hasn't been this offering into the fresh sectors, especially when in the UK it is something like a £4 billion turnover sector, and the constant problem that our clients, our members are suffering is the lack of margin return with spiralling input costs. So if fresh produce companies could be associated with Redfox and AF, to me it's going to be hugely advantageous, because they're going to get that saving on input costs.
Absolutely. What's happening is that we've talked about it for decades, we're getting joined up supply chains at one level. Yeah. And if you look at some of the initiatives that we've had here at AF over the last few years, we now run First Milk Direct. First Milk are the largest milk processor cooperative in the country. They saw the advantage to their 2,000 dairy farms to actually pull those together and look at those dairy farmers reducing their costs. And First Milk themselves are members. We've now last year launched with Waitrose, the Waitrose Farming Partnership, AF membership, initially to the livestock sector, the Waitrose Primary Producer Group. Which again is a joined up supply chain. Yeah. And that's seeing the advantages through. To me, this is a natural extension. The fresh produce industry is part and parcel of the agricultural industry, and if we look at some of the prime products like agrochemicals and fertilizer and seed, those are large areas for us now. This development will move us on. And this is a living organisation. If we were 350, 400 million turnover, just think what we could do as a fresh produce industry in terms of looking at your own cost base. All of those things that perhaps there isn't the time or the motivation to look at, they are prime areas that we can reduce costs, look at service, look at support.
So it's a very good point that you made, and a very wise man once told me that there's so much profitability held up within the supply chain, but it's how do you release that? And so again, this looks to be a very good solution. But let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. If we had a client who was a 50, 60 million pound atypical fresh produce company, what benefit would they have by having this association, by being a member of Redfox and AF?
First stage is actually to sit down and look at some of what I call the low-hanging fruit. Those are elements that aren't necessarily core competence within the organisation that can be looked at, and the savings 10, 15, 20% we're seeing on mobile phones and stationery and sundries. Those can be dealt with and brought in. We then start and look at the next ones. Liquid fuel, for instance, is a really challenging industry. It itself is coming together. There are less suppliers in the marketplace, and we, from our point of view, have now got joined up supply chains within liquid food. Because the other thing that we offer, which I think is important, is that back office accountancy service. Yep. So, for instance, the electricity invoices, mobile phone invoices, are all checked, they're all verified. Somebody is working on your behalf, ensuring that those are correct. And if they're not correct, and if they're estimated reads, then it's actually very simple, phone call to us, and we will then investigate it and sort it out. And that back office is now extending. So we have now e-invoicing right the way through the supply chain. And I guess the long-term development of this is actually a lot of those invoices go straight into your own system with no paper transaction whatsoever. You know they're checked, they're verified, and authorised by yourself. That's an important part of what we do. Okay,
so for that that example of a produce company I gave, so they're potentially going to have the advantage of lower input costs, whether that be the likes of liquid fuel, healthcare, forklift trucks, company cars, but also the administration elements potentially can be divorced from them to AF on a professional basis, so they've potentially got a double saving there.
Absolutely, and I think as business gets more complex, that element will become even more important. Yep. Because copies of the original invoice are passed through. Yep. So there is no re-invoicing at one level, apart from the fact that we act as principal, yep, and therefore the single AF invoice is a single VAT invoice. You imagine the benefits that has got to an office administration.
Yep, agreed. And one other thing to especially emphasise is that we made sure that we were aligned to the right company. There's a number of the board of directors of AF who actually own and run their own fresh produce businesses. So AF is fully experienced, fully exposed, has got full commercial understanding of all the highs and lows within the fresh produce sector. So it's not as if we're looking to get our clients aligned to a buying group that has no understanding about farming, about growing, about fresh produce. Because crikey's sake, this fantastic office here is sat in the middle of a farm with a potato unit just across the yard.
Yes, and I guess the other point to raise is that our board of directors, non-executive board of directors, are all members. And therefore, if you want to get involved, the sky's the limit.
Clarke, thank you. So just to re-emphasise, we believe this is going to be a huge groundbreaking initiative for the fresh produce sectors. If you're looking to reduce your costs in respect of your inputs, whether that be anything from cars, medical, forklift, liquid fuel, all the way through to potentially outsourcing your procurement functions, we have got the answer for you. So we'd love to hear from you. If you look at the bottom of this clip, you'll see all of our contact details. But Clarke, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to bringing a lot of advantage and a lot of cost savings to the supply chain for the fresh produce sector for ever and a day.
Thanks, Max. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Clarke.